play. But then, of course, they're going up against IG as we get into the Champ Select, and you can't even have that because the mechanics are in Rookie and Duke's favor.
And we'll be touching on that storyline a little later as we get into the match. But for now, we're into that Champion Select, as you mentioned, Raz. Newbee up against IG, game 1 of this best of 5, and you can see your eyes do not deceive you if you have just tuned in. IG are 1-0 up against Newbee because this is a weighted gauntlet. They took the highest seed out of regular season, meaning that it will come in with the advantage. Now, let's get to these bans. LeBlanc, Ashe, Graves coming in from Newbee, while on the opposite side, Caitlyn, Rengar, and Shen from IG. And Newbee, first pick of the Varus.
There we go. Newbee have done their homework, taking away the Ashe, taking away the Graves. Those two champions have been IG's priority for a very long time. Now, with the Varus being taken away, IG is going to be struggling on which utility AD carry are they going to bring on. You mentioned it earlier about the Jhin. Maybe they do go towards Jhin, but we haven't had any evidence to commit to that point.
Exactly, and just to update you guys at home, 7.7 is the patch we are playing on, Galio enabled, and we have seen that 3-4 times in Week 10 heading into this, so that is a very real possibility. On the opposite side, Karma locked in as a flex from IG, while Lee Sin, another priority pick for Rio. So I like the fact that Newbee looked for that ban on Graves. He's the only jungler we've seen from Rio. As a solo queue jungler, you expect him to have Lee Sin in an arsenal.
Yeah, that's the big takeaways because he brought in Graves all 4 games that he's played in the regular season split, so there's limited tape in terms of just Rio and how he plays, let alone the champion pool that he has to provide. So I want to see how well he does on the Lee Sin pick, and with the, of course, the Chinese solo queue junglers that do come into the LPL. We've seen our Yihans, we've seen, of course, the Ben 4s, and Lee Sin seems to be a champion that, of course, comes in.
A staple for sure.
Yeah.
On the opposite side, Newbee will be picking up the Elise for Swift. No real surprise, Swift has had some incredible performances on the Elise. My mind is cast back to all of those Cocoon predicts from those flashes.
Yeah.
Incredible plays. And they will also bring in the Jace, which was not banned out. A heavy ban in the LPL, but will be coming in here for Coco.
And it's been a heavy ban towards these teams, even EDG, I would say. That's Coco's highest win rate champion for himself. Jace, that's incredible comfort for him. So big question is what Rookie's going to decide to go towards, and it looks like he's going to get that Victor.
Once more, Rookie has had some amazing performances on Victor as he has come back into the meta. We've actually seen that as a kind of band-aid for the lower of the table mid laners, but when you actually give that champion to someone who is right at the top, you can see the damage that pick can do. Bans coming out here from IG will be Thresh aimed at Moore. We'll see what Newbee look to fire back with.
Yeah, and you kind of talked about the Victor just a little bit. It's been coming back, as you mentioned. Going into the 2v2, of course, Lee Sin, Victor versus Jason, Elise. That's going to be heavily in favor in Newbee's court. So I want to see what Rio can do to support Rookie. That has been a major trend for IG to just do whatever you can to get your leader ahead in Rookie. I don't know how they're going to be able to do that, of course, without the Ashe. And, of course, with AD carries continuously getting pinched out, the bottom lane has usually been Rookie's left hand and the jungler in their right. And if both are weakened, I want to see how Rookie's able to get out of that early laning phase.
That's true. Even as a solo laner, though, he is a force to be reckoned with. Ezreal and Lucian bans out against Kid here. And he is thinking about his own pick, while Nami was the final ban from IG aimed at Moore. And it will be a Cogmore lock-in from Kid. Lulu is still up and available, but they've already locked in the Karma.
Yeah, so this is going to be very difficult from IG early on in this game. They need a top laner that can take pressure early. It's going to be all on Duke. We don't know what he's picking towards, but it's going to be his counter pick to really be able to carry the early game forward. And Rio has to, of course, be able to be that backbone. I want to see what IG go towards because they cannot have 3 losing lanes in a losing jungle matchup.
Nice reaction from Newbee, locking in the Malzahar into this matchup, knowing it's not going to be a Lulu, so it's going to be a decent matchup for him. And he'll be locking that one into the Cogmore to instantly lock him down. Meanwhile, Newbee bring in the Fizz.
Yep.
And I'm actually a little surprised that Fizz made all the way through picks and bans to the final pick because, as you can see, 90% win rate over the regular season. A little bit insane. Every single time we see the champion outside of one game, he's demolished his opponents.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's rounded down. So 10 to 11, that's a little bit higher than 90%. Okay, so that had to be a Fiora. I was wondering what Duke was going to go towards because counter picking into a Fizz, very difficult. It's going to be a massive priority in the top side of the map with mid lane being in favor of Newbee. So I really love this Newbee pick ban. They definitely did their homework in how to deal with IG. IG must have had a very difficult time because, hey, I doubt they even knew who was going to be starting in the mid lane position, the top lane position, and these are all very different champion pools coming around with, of course, Cool having like a twisted fate. So going into this, not a lot of prep time for them.
I'm just looking at the Fiora pick as well. Now, I don't doubt anything that Duke ever does, but the fact he's picked up Fiora, which has had a very dodgy win rate, 2 out of 12 games has been the only win rate. 16% over the split. Not so great, honestly. But Duke, I think he's one of those players who can actually make it work. But heading into this matchup, it feels like there is so many weak points on the side of IG just looking out at the picks and bans. You have a Cogmore in the bottom lane, not paired with a Lulu. You've got still a defensive support, but it's definitely a mismatch when you add the factor that it's Kid on the ADC. It's not a hyper carry player. It's a guy who you actually see as a facilitator as he's only going back into that role.
It's all going to be about IG overperforming early on in this game. It's going to be on Rookie overperforming, and it's going to be on how much has this man played Lee Sin. How comfortable is he on this pick, and how well is he communicating with Rookie to get him even and ahead? Because, of course, getting that first back to get his upgraded, I guess, Hex Tech upgrade?
Hex Core.
Hex Core. Very difficult for the man. It's a really expensive purchase, and he's gonna be up against Elise Jace, who, honestly, this is the easiest early game of Swift's career. So I want to see how he starts off. Of course, first round of playoffs. So mind you, this is gonna be a lot of testing grounds for the first 5 minutes. There's gonna be a lot of tension in here.
It will, specifically for IG, though the most risky matchups are in the hands of the two best players on that lineup. So we just honestly have to see what they do in the early game to try and stabilize and not get completely blasted by Coco and V, who will be the starting mid and top lanes respectively for Newbee. But we're on to the rift for Newbee and IG. It is our first best of 5 in our player front here at the LPL.
And for semantics reason, your eyes do not deceive you. That is a 1 across on IG. This is a weighted gauntlet, so we're just going to say game 1 because that's just a 1-game cushion coming in from IG. That's probably why they're taking this a little bit risky in their champion picks.
Yeah, because let's be honest, if you take a look at these champion picks, if they get ahead, this could be a very fast game. A Cogmore who gets ahead on 2 items, a Fiora who crushes lane, mid lane as well. Rookie, we've seen the damage he can do with low resources, so I mean, IG could snowball out of control, but it's just a matter of whether they can do it. And my eyes are fixated on Rio right here. You know, he's a new player coming in just in week 10 for this lineup of IG. But if he can make the Lee Sin work, then you got a snowbally game on our hands.
Yes, you do, and it's going to come a lot towards the mid lane pick. And this is fun, because this is Newbee, they have the Malzahar pick, and that even though early on in the laning phase, can get pushed in, a little bit bullied by the Karma, it really is setting up Swift to succeed here, to get an early push.
And Swift will get his small Raptors plus the red buff, and he may even just turn back on towards that big Raptor, get himself level 3, and look to accelerate his early game.
And that's the thing, we want to look towards the jungle matchup and see how fast Ryu can get onto the map, right? Because he needs to be able to support these lanes. Elise cannot, for him at the very least, can't afford to have Elise on the map earlier to pressure these lanes earlier on. At least get a supportive ward for the Victor. But with that early start, could be great for Swift. He might even just decide to get a larger clear, because he's going towards Wolf Campus.
It looks like he's going for a largely full clear, and he'll go towards his red buff, his blue buff rather.
Yeah.
Maybe look towards top side. Let's see how the top side is in fact doing. Duke up against V here. And when we look at the individual matchups, you would say that Duke does heavily outclass V, though V has got his hands on Fizz, who is actually insane at the moment.
And even if VR can get a positive trade, of course having Doran's Blade on him, the difficulty, of course, is that the sustain trade should be in V's favor, especially since he has Ignite. And he has an Elise always by his side. You don't know where Swift is going to be early on, knowing that he did start towards the bottom side of the map. Rio's going to find himself... So he didn't lose much, but he's going to get contested.
Yeah, he knows it's contested since his initial Q missed Coco, taking a lot of damage. And this is exactly what we said, Raz. You can pick Jace, one of these high-powered picks, especially for Coco, into Rookie, but he'll destroy you anyway.
Yeah, okay, they're actually going to try something. But here's the, just to hit on your point, he does very well in terms of trading on the Victor, and Victor has done well in laning phase. A lot of the reason for it is, of course, Deathfire Touch with the laser does a considerable amount of damage early on, and he could trade with Qs, so he gets a little bit of the shield for himself. Problem is that expends a lot of mana. Right,
yeah.
so he's using a lot of mana in a trade where Coco's just going to heal up just a bit because he has a longsword, and he's going to be able to remain pretty high in terms of that. So he's going to get caught out here.
Swift's coming up to the top lane. Lands the cocoon anyway. Duke's going to take a bit of damage in with the riposte, and he's actually good to go. So I would say one of the few and rare mistiming mechanical plays there from Duke. Usually he'd be right on the money with those ripostes.
Yeah, he can't afford to get caught out like that. Speaking of which,
yeah, Rio's going to go back to his team, get the shielding out from Megan, so he's going to be good to go. He just got shoved off of the Krugs.
yeah, so just to hit up on that top lane gank, really, sure, Swift showed himself on that one, so bottom lane is going to be feeling a little comfortable, both Kid and Megan. Just going to be okay with that, happy about that. What this does mean for Duke is that he's going to have to deal with a little bit of a worse back time because he uses Potion to be able to heal that back up. Means V is going to be comfortable, going to get a proper back time, maybe get a longsword Phage. I want to see if he goes towards a Phage early on, or if he just goes towards like just a straight tank item, because with Fizz you want to be able to get resistances early on, and then go little later on start to go towards the Sheen and the Phage.
And the funny thing is, Raz, I think this is the most comfortable I've seen Kid in like 9-10 weeks of play, and he's on ADC.
Yeah.
Like, I just saw him dive that tower, get a couple extra auto attacks down with the Voidus, and it's like, that is something that I've never seen from Kid. There's like 5% of the time I'll see him go off in the jungle. Yeah. The rest of the time he's a passive. We even called him the moving warden. It was kind of a Chinese meme at that point, which he just wards for mid lane, allows Rookie to be locked in that 1v1. And that was his persona.
That's true, and that's the thing with IG is that when they had Kid on Elise, there'd be times where he would go off, and suddenly you'd say, okay, IG, at this level of IG, could look incredibly well in a playoff bracket. Rookie getting smacked around. But then, when he went to like any other pick, there was always that problem of just having 2 carries for the team, and later on there would be no issues. Rio.
Yeah, Eldrois getting locked up in the bottom lane, but Rio's here, counter gang from Swift, great cocoon, but Rio's full health at this point in time. Not anymore, Swift will unload on him. Call of the Void. And IG are sent packing, so it is a neutral gank in the end, but Newbee do come out slightly ahead in terms of health bars.
Yeah, Swift being able to just be on top of it, to be able to put the pressure into the bottom side of the map, just smacking Rio off to the side, so he has to back away. He actually cannot stick into his jungle a little bit because he's half HP to Swift being pretty full on, so he needs to go towards the top side. Thankfully, he was able to clear out just a little bit, so he's not going to be able to meet Swift. Swift's not going to get anybody, but he's going to be able to get the Gromp.
Rio's going to do the same on top side, but he is losing a bit of his jungle. The Rio hasn't had the biggest impact on the early game that we've wanted to see out from him, but he is still level 5, keeping pace. Swift is now just dinged at level 6, so has that small advantage over him. But of course, level 6 spike, not quite the same as Rio's, of course, as he spots this control ward and will also take this one out.
Yeah, but that just shows the indication of like how strong these lanes are for Newbee. LWX and more, had gone poorly for them, had that gank worked for Rio, then of course that would be Rio giving himself a little bit more space, but now he's going to be contested a little bit more aggressively by Swift because of how, of course, the longsword and of course a little bit of magic is just going on to Coco. He should have stronger lanes to work with. Hey man. Hey man.
So that just happened.
Hello.
Welcome to the LPL playoffs.
Oh.
That hurts quite a lot. That is one of the few executions I've seen in the LPL this split.
I don't even think I've seen an execution this split.
Yeah, that may even be the first as well. That's pretty bad. I would expect to see that from the first performance from Rio, but he's had 4 games on the stage. Actually 5, I think. And at this point in time, he just gets executed by the Krugs. And they do hit hard, and if you miscalculate, you die. But that's going to put him behind. Swift is now 2 levels ahead of him.
Yeah, and just to emphasize this a little bit more, Rio stage presence, he hasn't had much. 4 games because there's that 2 games that he got blasted by LGD, and the 2 games that he was able to demolish OMG.
Yeah.
Very stark contrast in play, but he is on a playoff stage. These games definitely do have a massive amount of impact, and so being on stage without much experience at all, on a different pick entirely, it does play into your mentality. And so Rio, you can't let this affect you. He probably will, but these are lessons you learn fairly early. I want to see if the Newbee will probably recognize this by the extra death count on there the moment they encounter him.
Yeah. But that's not really something you look for, though. You don't usually look at you don't hit tab and it's just like when it's a 0-0 game.
Yeah.
That's not what you're looking for. Maybe you look at CS, but that's not really it. But still, Rio has hit level 6, so we are looking for his level 6 gank, but that has been read by Swift as bot lane is going in on IG. Megan locked up. LGX looking for the kill, finds first blood. Kid looking for the same, but he's also going to go down. A Kafkan surprise comes up, but Rio may trade his life just to salvage this kill. A 1-for-2 in favor of Newbee as Rio is getting chased down. Q's towards the dragon, but I'm not sure if he's going to be his friend.
Shock
Coco,
blast.
where is it? Oh, misses Rio on his way out, and he is good to go.
All right, well, I mean, I guess that's going to help his mentality a little bit. The problem now being LWX and more being able to win that 2v2 for themselves suddenly should skyrocket this game for Newbee, right? Sure, Rio got a response kill. Doesn't mean much in the end because now LWX are going to come back into the lane much faster, track towards the Blade of the Rune King. And then Swift, in his mind, he knows where the next objective is going to be. If he can get an early gank towards Rookie, sure, Rookie's doing fairly well into the matchup against Coco, but Swift should be able to alleviate space for Coco and just look towards diving that bottom lane.
And just a straight up read there, just speak towards Swift as a player versus Rio.
Yeah.
Rio is not as experienced as he is. This is basically Swift's team. You look at Newbee and the first person you think about is Swift when it comes to mines. So this guy is really bringing it home this time around into that bottom lane. And Rio, we have yet to see him really pop off in this game. Now, the bottom lane is at a disadvantage, that being from Kid and Megan. And when I see Kid in the bottom lane, I really want to say Kid and Kiddies, you know? Yeah. It just feels weird to say Kid and Megan.
It does.
But it's the new age.
And just to hit Megan just a little bit, he currently has the highest assists in the league. The man came in last split near the playoffs end because IG has been having a bit of a rotating door in the bottom lane. Formerly, he was named Balan. And he had a lot of presence towards the mid lane. He was a lot more decisive. He was a bit of a shot caller for the team. And so he stuck, just changing his name to Megan. And it was been Margin Megan. Now it's going to be Margin sitting into the back, obviously. And it's going to be Megan and Kid. They did not. And here's the reason why they lost these 2v2 is that they just don't have the synergy with each other. Instant flash from Rio.
Yeah, more hops over the wall of that blast plant and burns the flash from Rio. Will also take away this big Merc Wolf. So Newbee are in such a good position. And they've honestly really done their homework. Like coming out of champion sectors, like good draft from Newbee. This really suits what they want to go for. IG on the back foot when you look at some of these matchups. But it's not even just from champion select. It seems like Newbee have just researched the hell out of IG in this matchup.
That's true, and they haven't had a lot of time to be able to do that, right? They just freshly came off of their win up against Game Towns. It was hard fought, but it didn't look clean. And then immediately, coming into this, pick ban, solid. Incredibly well in how to cater towards IG. Sure, IG's a little easier to predict in how their playstyle goes out, but they knew it very well, and of course, with more working with Swift to just focus down on Rio, these are major points of victory in how you're able to win this matchup, how you're able to beat IG. Just look at how these two are roaming together. I didn't see that so much in the regular season, but these improvements are being made.
For sure, and Moore has been holding Swift's hand for like 40 seconds,
okay.
But what a steal
All
from
right.
Megan, man.
That award.
I even think that Swift was expecting that.
Definitely wasn't. But here's the thing, right? The fact that, yeah, they're holding hands, that's because they want to be able to make a play happen here. They've been sitting around. They even had a flank ward placed in that lane to look to dive Kid and Megan. It expired, but they've just been constantly forcing that pressure. Okay, speaking of pressure.
Take the fish, but Riposte surely going to come out. Or maybe already used it, was perhaps waiting for the extra damage coming in from W. Regardless, he did place down the Grand Challenge as a deterrent for V. But now he might be looking for the dive that's worn off. It would be very risky against Duke, though.
That's the thing now, because if I'm V, you're either calling up Swift. So now Swift has two options, either continue the pressure towards the bottom lane. It looked like it's not honestly working because Coco's currently locked down in the mid lane, so you can't really rely on him pushing forward. But with how easy this matchup is for V, and he still has Ignite, bring Elise to the top side. You can already see Swift coming top side because that's where the camps are. He's already pathing towards it. If he can bypass a ward, and he's not going to be able to, he's just going straight to his blue, then Duke's life is at danger. It's smart that Duke is backing, but what this does mean is that that massive CS difference that's coming up to the top lane is only going to get worse.
I'll tell you what, Raz, I think that may have been the first time I've ever seen Duke uncomfortable. He was actually just kind of shifting in his seat there on the player cam, and this guy, usually super cool, chooses bubblegum, is just like taking names in the top lane, unfazed by anything when I see him get ganked by 2 people. V just beats him out on the trade, still has Ignite. He's actually looking a bit shaken.
Because Playoffs has a different aura altogether. Sure, he's having a tough matchup, which Duke does not usually have. I mean, sure, he's on tanks, sometimes prioritizing Maokai's, but he knows his focus is just through CSing, getting to the mid-late game portion and being the backbone for his team. This time around, he is the early focal point, and he hasn't been getting that space allowed to him because of how far behind Rio was initially. So, yeah, different environment entirely, but at the same time, it's just not working his way this lane.
No, it isn't. He's gone for that early Hex Drinker to that point to try and just survive the burst from V at this point in time. And honestly, Swift as well, if he turns his attention towards the top lane. Rio, how's he doing? He has stabilized in terms of levels. Flash ultimate out from Moore. In comes Swift. And the complete lockdown. The CC chain, courtesy of the Chain of Corruption, means that Newbee will find their 3rd kill of the game. Rio is going in. Instinct Exhaust comes out from Moore. He still had it from the last trade. This is still a bit risky.
No.
Shock Blast comes in. Cocoon lockdown from Swift. And that has just exacerbated the troubles that IG find themselves in.
Yeah, Newbee was trying to find an opening in the bottom lane, but that is a way you can gift it for yourself. So Newbee now 2 kills for them, 4 and 1, 2K gold advantage. Yeah, this bottom lane just opened wide open for them.
Let's just take a second to admire what Newbee are doing in this game, Raz, because all of us as analysts, apart from Rusty, said that IG probably looking for a 2-0 here, maybe even a 3-1 in the end, and Newbee should get destroyed. But Newbee, 4,000 gold ahead, 1 tower in the lead, first dragon of the game, and they're completely demolishing every player who isn't Rookie and Duke.
Yeah, and that's becoming a major issue. Going into this set, all of the expectations that we've had from IG, you can essentially throw that in the wayside with the new roster that they've had in Week 10, right? Sure, there was just their last game was a good showing from them, but very limited tape, and they've built themselves a composition that ain't going to be doing any favors for them early on. Newbee are taking what IG's giving to them.
I was skeptical of that bottom lane there from Kid and Megan, locking in that Cogmore when they did. And right now, I was honestly right to be skeptical here, Raz, because he is behind in this lane, 0-3 from these ganks that have been coming out from Swift.
And here's the problem, right? Because that's the focus that Newbee has had. And honestly, lesson learned from Newbee, because they're like, what does Kid play if we ban out the Ashe and we take away the Varus? What utility AD carry is going to play? He just went straight into Kog'Maw. And he went to Kog'Maw in 2nd phase, meaning that they had a lot more freedom to just ban out these AD carries. Jhin wasn't a priority. And so even if they picked Jhin, would be a weak lane phase. But going towards the Kog'Maw Karma just changes the identity and shifts what IG has been comfortable with all day long.
Swift gets us a kill on the Dragon, may die here too. Rookie as Rio jumps in, locked down by the Nether Grass, but Moore kicked into the side of the wall. It will be a 1-for-1 trade. 80 carry for Jungler, Moore backing away, but V, he's looking to go to town onto Rookie. We see Kid going down, looking for the kill. Icathian surprise.
No.
And it is a 2-for-3 so far in favor of IG, evened up by courtesy of Swift and Coco, making it a 3-for-3 in total.
Well, you know what? That could have been very good for Newbee, but Swift was so low in HP. That's as good as you can get it for Victor, because he was able to snatch that kill away from them and trade it out. But yeah, Newbee's going to be starting to question the decision that they made, because they went for Dragon, but they were fairly low, weren't able to take the fight. That's as good of a fight as IG is going to take on that one.
So an equal trade, but in the end, Newbee still secured the Infernal Dragon from Swift. So they're still in a great position. Megan is here to just kind of be a band-aid on this mid lane, but Coco is pretty happy, honestly, to sacrifice his life even if this happens, because he just took down mid tower, and actually may not even happen as Moore arrives and sends Rio packing. And that's just another advantage to Newbee. Now 2-0 towers up against Invictus Gaming. Duke is looking for the bot tower, but we know V can take him in a door, and it looks like he's just going to zone him away from the tower.
Yeah, this is a desperation point for IG. Sure, it's just one game, but in this game alone, it's all going to be about what they can trade away, because they ain't going to get anything for free any longer. Mid lane turret down, that means Newbee is going to be able to get topside very easily. Jace is right now back in base, but they don't even have to be able to put that pressure because IG is slow on the uptake. And they're looking to lose so much damage on this turret. Just might lose it off the back of this.
All outer towers down at 18 minutes up against IG. And I'm honestly not even saying that IG are having one of their coin flip days where it's just like the bad IG arrive of their two personalities. This is just like, this is normal IG, but Newbee are running them around the map.
And this is positive for Newbee. Just look at how much vision was controlling the top side of the map. Just from mid lane to top lane. And even though Coco was at base, IG didn't know Coco was at base.
Yeah.
They had no idea where that man was. And so they had to concede the top lane turret just from that pressure alone. That's all they needed for IG to respect them and back away. So now it's just IG trying to survive. What can they really salvage for themselves? Really, that was the counter pick for Fiora. Maybe if Fiora can get to a point, she already has Ravenous Hydra. But the issue is that one point that we mentioned earlier, where is Fizz going to get? Already has a Sunfire Cape and is going towards Trinity Force. And so now with a stronger Fizz, who's got a kill for himself, yeah, I don't think the trade-off is anywhere near beneficial for Duke and for IG.
I mean, he's got to overcome Fizz in a side lane when he's got an early Tabbies and Sunfire Cape. That's still like a 5-10 minutes out of Duke actually getting advantages in that lane to really beat V out there. Plus, he's got a combat summoner, so it is so difficult to Duke to win there. And in the mid lane, maybe that's the hope for IG, that Rookie can just kill the entire team by himself.
Yeah, it's him and Kid. The late game scaling composition in terms of Kog'Maw Victor, incredibly powerful. But they're going to concede so much, and that's a problem for Duke because maybe Duke can be able to take this 1v1. Maybe. But it's never going to be a 1v1 if Newbee plays it properly with how much control they're putting out the top side of the map. They see nothing. Absolutely nothing. And so sure, Duke's going to feel pretty comfortable now because he's in the bottom side. He knows that there's no pressure going towards him. But that's going to be all in how Newbee plays this board because now V is going to just lose in terms of pressure, but his TP is about to come up, and this top lane has to get pressure to meet it.
This is an inner tower right now, and Newbee are not unrelenting with the pressure.
Yep.
Kid is doing what he can against Coco, clearing out this minion wave, but this is going to take a bit of time to clear out this Krug camp. Duke is gradually getting ahead of V, and you can see him just kind of backing away in these trades. Now that he has hit that 1.5 item power spike. Duke really wants this tower, but it's a couple free hits for V to try and get this trade up. Not going to happen. Blade Work comes in, and Duke will continue to push. So this is starting to become a problem for Newbee. Yeah,
and one positive thing about the matchup in terms of Duke for Fiora versus Fizz is that Fizz can never use his ulti before Riposte, because that is a CC that Duke can push back onto him unless if V has another member. So what I want to see from Newbee is just to use him for dives towards the 5v5 in Newbee's court. And I want to see as many, like once Baron becomes an issue. It's already 1 minute, or at least 21 minutes into the game. Baron's been up for a minute. It's a little too early, but as time goes on, they can start to pressure towards that. And these flank wars that they've been putting in beautifully, not now because there's IG starting to fight back topside. But once they can push in and take those out, put those flank wards proper, I want to see V use it properly. This is a test to Newbee. They haven't been able to do this consistently on split long.
That's true, but the early game blueprint that they have written up has been honestly immaculate against IG. They have performed so well, and it's not even from accidents or mistakes from IG. It's actually proactive plays from Newbee, gradually getting themselves ahead in this game, which is what I like to see. Coco, as you said, one of his highest win rate champions in that mid lane. He's got his hands on in this game, and he's already sat on those 2 items, looking towards his third here. We're only 22 minutes in. Looks like good signs of life from the lineup of Newbee.
Yeah, they've been able to pressure in confidently, and they're a confident team. That's what's nice about it. And they have a lot of pick potential here with Malzahar and Elise, so it's very easy to just get that go button if they do think that someone is outstretched in IG's favor. Issue with that now, of course, is that IG has been able to pull this in just for 22 minutes. Any other team, let's say they're going up later on in the gauntlet, going up against EDG, RNG, those teams would not allow as much space as IG is getting right now.
Rio is trying to contest his red, but so is Swift. There's a smite coming down. He'll get that one. Megan is being locked up. Great kick! Knocks up 2 people from Newbee. But with the repel coming up, it's very difficult for Rookie to do too much more. He was getting in there with the ultimate, but more forces the flash from him as he was locked into that pit. And Duke is still pressuring the bot side, so IG holding strong in these trades. This is a little bit difficult from Duke. He's going to have to use the riposte. There it is.
There we go.
V comes back down looking for the grand challenge, and I'm not sure if V is going to win this. He's blocking the final Vital against the wall. This may be enough to win a 1v1 against Duke. He needs to stand on Urchin Strike, and V wins the 1v1.
And that's what Newbee wanted. The only reason they needed that was because of how poorly that top side went in Newbee's favor. If IG was able to win out in that top side skirmish and then have Duke win out bottom side, suddenly IG is able to open this game up, right? But Newbee needed that victory.
Oof. Well, that was half of Kid's HP in one shock blast from Coco. They really are just riding this momentum from the mid game that they have. This one minion is doing so much work, and these random voidlings coming out. That's going to be enough to secure mid-inner tower for Newbee at 24 minutes. And with their 6,000 gold lead, they look almost unstoppable.
And they just got that bot lane shoved in too, so now they're going to be able to take this blue buff. Now they're going to go to Dragon and get it for themselves. That would be 3 dragons for themselves, 2 oceans. Sure, they would have wanted to, like, probably something else a little bit more beneficial, but these are all positive trades for Newbee. And if they're able to get this, that's going to be able to even out the game 1 for 1.
Yeah, then we're in a best of 3 here, Raz. And we said if Newbee drop a single game, they have to look for a full reverse sweep, which is so incredibly difficult, no matter who you are up against any other team, because if they happen to win a single game, you're out. So Newbee, the fact that they're able to win this first game means so much for them, not in terms of the series, but for their mental.
That's true. Now just Newbee has to do, it's technically been the impossible for them in being able to close out these early leads as a team, because that bottom lane 1v1 between Duke and V was a little bit too close for comfort for them, right? They don't want to have V die in a solo lane because that one savior mid-game is going to be Duke in this 1v1 matchup. They want to be able to impact it, either send Elise down to just tilt the matchup in the favor, or Jace. But if they do that with how late the game's going on, then they're going to lose a lot of pressure towards Baron. This is a tough question for Newbee, because they can't afford to make the wrong answer with how much now Baron is going to be a focus between both these teams. So it's going to be tough. And sure, they're winning out early. These are a 7k gold lead for Newbee. They just have to push it on home.
With these double control wards in this bush, IG can be certain that Newbee don't see them. Just kidding. The fact that Rio threw out his Q was a little bit of a sign towards the fact there could be a couple people in here and more. So going to get all of this gold, plus 60 in the bank to Newbee. And Kid will take another shock blast, dropping him down to half. And that is so brutal by itself. The fact that they get this chunk down onto Kid means Newbee are going to start the Baron.
This is kind of crazy. Yeah, Kid does not have much. Oh, he has nothing
Well,
now.
he's out. He's out of the fight.
All right.
What can Rookie do? What
Oh my!
Okay.
That was Thunderlord.
Yeah, he just annihilated more. The final bit of damage from the disco ball will send the rest of Newbee packing. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. I don't think more was either.
Yeah, no one of Newbee is tanky enough to deal with the Baron in and of itself. So when they get contested, it can be difficult. I didn't think it would be that difficult.
Well, there you go. IG are still able to fight back, and they're not flatlining just yet here, Raz. In the mid lane, Rio, this is a tough situation. All the damage coming in. What's the CC lock? Not quite there. The rest of the team as IG was behind him to bail Rio out.
And all the while, IG's been pressuring the bot side. So they're able to stop the Baron run coming in from Newbee. And sure, a lot of poke has been coming down on Kid, right? But life is still there for IG. And as the game goes on, we're almost nearing 30 minutes. Kid is getting some items for himself, so Newbee has to get this going for themselves.
Newbee are looking for it again. But it's going to come down to a 50-50. Rio's the same level as Swift. He's going to get locked out by Moore, though. This might be enough to secure the Baron. Indeed it is. Great play by Moore. He's going to sacrifice his life for that one, but he's more than happy for that to be the case. Rookie's going in. Swift is so low, but he will eventually fall to the battle transfer. Duke are looking for the 1v1, but yet again, a 1v1 kill against Duke.
Everything's going wrong for IG, but Newbee, it seems to be all proper for themselves. It was a risky take, right? It looked like a 50-50 going towards the Baron, but Malzahar ulti, and now we're getting another TP.
Courtesy of V, but actually doesn't matter, because Coco goes off and kills 3 people by himself.
The moment the Observer takes his eyes, but V takes another kill as well. That is an ace for Newbee.
Oh my lord, we need to see a replay of that because Coco just went in on IG and we look towards the top punch. Here it is, Raz.
Yeah, he was able to snipe him down. Gets the baseball hit on Kid as well. 3 instant kills. The moment you blink, the moment you take your eyes off these guys, yeah, that's going to be the game just opening wide open for them.
Call that one a home run, Raz, because 13-8, a 10,000 goal lead, triple dragon, Baron over to Newbee, and we're suddenly in the position where I don't see how IG come back into this game because Rookie, he's had some great ultimates, he's had some great plays, but he's up against 3 massive threats on the side of Newbee. I just don't see how he can do it.
Yeah, and IG were definitely banking on their later on portions of the game, banking on the fact that, wait a minute, Rio,
he just wanted his wolves, and he can't do it. That's not his jungle anymore. He needed to recognize that, and Newbee will punish him for it.
Can't even get a snack, man. This guy is just, there's no breaks for him. And so, just hitting on that point, they just wanted to play defense, right? It worked first. The first attempt worked where Moore was able to get instantly deleted by Rookie, but they couldn't defend the Baron. They couldn't secure a 1v1 lead or victory for Duke. Everything's going wrong here for IG.
Oh, add insult to injury. Well, hold that thought because Moore is getting blasted by Rookie. L2X just find the tower in the mid lane, and they're moving on to the inhib. Rookie and Megan unable to stop this. Kid just takes another massive shock blast from Coco, and Newbee will look to move the pressure to bot lane.
Yeah, Newbee's just been receiving a lot of bank, and all of this is happening because you could see on the top side of the map, Duke is just all alone. It looks like they're going for a Hail Mary play here.
Tower down, Duke is doing what he can in the top lane to draw pressure, but Newbee honestly do not give a damn. They'll take 2 inhibs, and IG are just left reeling 30 minutes into this game 1.
Yeah, this is pure desperation mode from IG. It was a far off idea that you can get anything else other than that inner turret for a trade. And nah, it looks like Newbee's going to be on top of their game. They're just going to take 2 inhibs for themselves bot side. They're looking to chase down V. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, they're going to give up that chase.
Duke will back away with just a sliver of mana remaining. 61,000 gold to 50,000. IG are locked within their base. This next Infernal, you have to feel it's just going to go over to Newbee as well. With 4 dragons under their belt, heading even into later on into the game. If Elder becomes an objective, IG have to contest that one on top of that, and that will be the last nail in the coffin.
Yeah, it will be. And what you just saw before was TP getting canceled out from Duke to get that play going in Rookie's favor. Rookie doesn't have much mana now, so he has to go back to base. This is full defense coming out of IG. IG, they're not going to be able to contest that dragon. Not at all is the possibility. And you have to expect Newbee, with how much pressure they have in both mid lane and bottom lane, just work towards your way top side. Baron's coming up fairly soon, then you can look to try and pressure to that. IG will not have an ability to defend that. And as you can see, yeah, that's a 2K pair.
Respectable.
Yeah, pretty decent.
Especially as you get later onto the game, harder to find those big objectives, but it was still 2 inhibs. IG looking for an attempt, sitting in a brush, pulling a Fnatic, but I mean, if it doesn't land, then you just have to go back to the drawing board, go back to square one.
IG has to look to just completely cut any tempo that Newbee has, but that's just far too gone. Okay.
V is flanking. Just the pressure from V means that IG have to back away, and at some point they need to draw the line in the sand here, Raz.
But Newbee's not giving them any chance to engage on. LWX's positioning, able to get out of that Q range from Rio. If anything hits, then yeah, it could be a problem for Newbee, but they're just completely zoning them away.
IG have to defend their 2 towers. It's going to come down to this, and Newbee are actually looking to just finish the game here and now. Do not give IG even a possibility coming back into this game. Leverage the fact that Coco is so far ahead. First Nexus turret down. Newbee needs to look for a chance.
Nah.
And Rio, he's just down. He jumps in, instantly dies. Kid steps up, but gets smashed by LWX. He'll get the 1-for-1 trade as Rookie comes in there, but it's 2-for-1 so far. Favor of IG. Duke, what can he do? Not much. Not much at all. 4-for-1 trade for Newbee.
And that just spells the game for Newbee, that they're able to take this so convincingly. IG, yeah, you said it. They have to go back to the drawing board. A victory for Newbee.
32 minutes on the clock, and Newbee will take game 1 here against Invictus Gaming. And those are some crushed faces, and rightly so. They came into this best of 5 with a win, with a weighted gauntlet.
Yeah.
And now it's just turned into a best of 3. Newbee, looking at the damage graphs, I mean, that was just a whitewash.
Yeah, I mean, IG was feeling a little good coming into this. Remember being able to take a convincing 2-0 against OMG. But this is definitely going to put a damper to that. They're not feeling so confident anymore.
Not a single lick of red on that goal graph. 4 dragons. I mean, that might as well have been the perfect game. There was a couple kills in the early game.
Yeah.
And maybe some in the end, but Newbee just absolutely obliterated IG. And we did question, you know, if we speak from the side of IG, what's their prep going to be like coming into this game? What's it going to be like in a best of 5? And whether they actually have that ability in their arsenal. And Newbee, 2-day turnaround coming into this matchup, behalf of them as well, but clearly they have adapted better.
Yeah, kudos to Rookie at the very least to even out in the matchup, but this was much better preparation coming in from Newbee. The composition they had played very well to their individual strength, and if you give them that composition early on, they'll take it, right? So this is a clear criticism to IG now. They have to go into the next game, game 2 for themselves, and really figure out, because this is going to be the first time that they have to figure out, what do they do when they don't have Ashe? What do they do when they don't have Graves? Because yeah, Rio, he probably has a larger jungle pool, right? But he did not feel comfortable, and that's the biggest point of worry. He did not feel comfortable on the Lee Sin, and he didn't feel comfortable on the back foot. We saw him getting, I guess, killed by his own jungle camp, right? That is definitely something IG has to go about and really, really dig down and figure out what's happening, because they don't want to lose this series, especially since they have weighted gauntlet in their favor.
I mean, what do they do if that was their tier 2 and they go down to a Lee Sin and so they go, well, that clearly didn't work. He's getting out-jungled by Swift here. You look at the bottom lane, we've just denied the 2 kind of premier supporty picks like an Ashe, like a Varus even. And then what does Kid do? He goes on to Gargmore. And they don't even have Lulu to pair with it because they went for the early Karma. So there were clear problems in that picks and bans, even from the initial banning phase, which is just a straight-up problem. I mean, IG must have expected the fact that they've only shown a Graves out of their jungle. Kid has only played Ashe in the AD carry position. So what are they going to do? Take those away, clearly. And that was something they weren't prepared for.
Yeah, and that's a test for IG, and they failed the test quite obviously. So I want to see what happens in the top lane for me, because Duke, he wanted a little bit of pressure coming in from Lee Sin. That was a point where we wanted to see Rio overperform, because that was him losing lanes and him having to really become that early game pressure point for him. But no, that was him underperforming in that instance.
Yeah, that was just a huge problem for them outside of picks and bans. And when you look at the early game as well, because it seemed like Newbee just had their number. It felt like all of their preparation maybe wasn't even against their Week 10 performance. They were just looking forwards to the playoffs and actually say, hey, we're actually going to take this regardless of what happens, which is a confident statement in itself. But we're prepared for IG. I refuse to believe that they somehow decided how they were going to play against Invictus Gaming in 2 days. I feel like this is something that was like a week in the making, because they knew exactly how to attack them across the map, even within the game.
They did, and I think that's great points for Newbee, because they were growing throughout the entirety of the split. They had a lot of growing pains. They couldn't field Coco right from the get-go, and honestly, that's not too bad for them, because Cool did perform remarkably regardless, and they only need to fix on just real key teamwork issues, because they didn't have any weak links, especially since LWX started performing. And you saw near the later on portions of that game, he did not play passively with his lead. He just went in. And so I want to see that. I want to see those plays. And with how Moore was playing with Swift and being able to completely control Rio's jungle, this is the Newbee we want to see. And we want to see if it's consistent. Going into game 2 now, this could be a point where Newbee can wrestle this control away from IG.
For sure. And talking about Moore, as you just mentioned, he'll take the MVP of this game, his second one of the entire split. I mean, just more praise to the guy, honestly, because in interviews it was said, well, Moore is a real backbone of this team. Just from a morale standpoint, he is really the backbone of Newbee. And to see him actually come out with a great counter pick at the first place, coming out of picks and bans, you see the Gargmore locking the Malzahar. Great performances all around.
Great lockdown, and this is a very comfortable point for him. We're going to take a look at this Baron play, and this is based off of Moore just knocking Rio out of contention of the Baron steal entirely. This was very crucial because IG was slowly coming back into this game. Sure, Swift's dies off that, but these are advantages Rookie can't take, right? Rookie's not going to be able to use the solo advantage that he has, because suddenly, this play happens very soon where Newbee's going to be able to take a triple kill off that. Even with this not happening, as it did, it's going to be a long road for IG to be able to use their late game composition, late game team fighting composition, it's going to be very difficult for themselves because with how Moore played that team fight, you want to be able to see supports do that more often. Just completely make it so it's not a 50-50 whatsoever.
And that was also a rare instance on the back end of that replay that we saw Duke being outplayed in the 1v1. And yes, he was into a negative matchup. He was item disadvantaged, but you know he was the one who engaged in that trade, and it happened the second time. And that's almost unheard of Duke. I actually don't think I've seen him solo killed for the entire split. Yeah. And the fact that happens right here up against V, we saw him a little shaken in the laning phase. He was just unhappy with how this matchup was going. There was no pressure coming out from Rio because how that one was going as well. So Duke was looking physically shaken, and if one of your backbones of the team is breaking this early on into a series, it spells very dire things for the lineup. Regardless, we are going to take a quick break as we set up for Game 2 in this best of 5.